Welcome to the exciting and new podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
I'm Dana.
And I'm Connor.
Whoa, we finally have a guest. It's been a while since we've had a guest.
Oh, I have some news at the end of this podcast that we'll go over.
Fancy.
Let's go.
Am I picking next week's movie? Because I have an idea for it.
You're not.
Why?
Because I'll tell you at the end of the
Oh,
podcast.
that's not cool. Because he picked last time. If you're picking, you're not picking 2 times in a row, are you?
I'm not.
Did
I'm
Paul
not picking,
pick it?
I'm not picking for the next 3 podcasts.
Why, do we have
Okay.
a
Because I
guest
have
going
guests
on?
for all those podcasts.
Cool. 3 in
Yes,
a row?
I do.
We'll see about
We'll
that.
see.
I'm out there.
We'll see about that.
networking.
'Cause how many times has he had a guest that it was empty? Because he was supposed to have a guest last week. It was empty.
Mike Chamberlain was my call.
Ladies and gentlemen, this week we're doing the 1980.
I can blame for that. And he's off. Then I'll never invite him ever again. If I have to count on him.
No, this week we're doing Dune from 1984, not the one that's out in the theaters now, kids. But we're hoping you get confused and click on this.
Yeah.
Dune, rated PG-13. This is our first PG-13
This is a PG-13 movie?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Released
Trying to think of
this-
why.
Released December 14th, 1984. Running time of 2 hours and 17 minutes. Directed by David Lynch. It's our first David Lynch movie. His top 4 is full of writer. He's a writer for all 4 of his top 4.
Twin Peaks,
Twin Peaks, Fire Walk With Me,
Blue Velvet.
and Twin Peaks.
the regular show. Yeah.
Then there's Inland Empire and Mulholland Drive.
I never heard of Inland Empire.
Did you know that
Movie, I
the
think.
original director for this was supposed to be Sir Ridley Scott, but he left the production after his older brother suddenly passed away. Scott wanted to start working as soon as possible, but Dune would take far too long to reach production. Scott decided to leave the project in favor of Blade Runner 1982, which was ready to start production immediately. The sequel, Blade Runner 2049-2017, was directed by Denis Villeneuve, who also directed Dune 2021.
Interesting. In 2024. Interesting. I did not know Ridley Scott was attached to this.
I did not know that until
I knew that
researching.
David Lynch was attached to Return of the Jedi before he decided to do
What?
Dune instead. He was
Really?
asked to do it. I don't know how.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
George Lucas was like asking people. He asked Spielberg. He asked Lynch, and Lynch said, "That's your thing. I'm not doing it."
But then he did Dune.
Yeah.
Not his thing either.
Very
but
weird.
he wrote the script. Wrote
but
the
he had
script.
no control.
Yeah, but he wrote.
Oh, he wrote this script?
Well, yeah, but the book was there already, so
Yeah.
he
But-
just cut stuff out of the book. It's like,
Do you think
nah,
it was
don't-
his decision to have the inner dialogue throughout the whole damn movie?
God, I hope so, because that was the best part of the movie.
I do know that he wanted to make it a far longer movie than it was.
It was a 4-hour cut.
Yeah, but the studio
Really?
wouldn't let him do it. So if he got his cut, there might have not needed to be any narration.
Yeah.
You
He
never know.
released
So
the cut,
yeah.
and I know he
He won't go back and do it.
Yeah, he's disavowed this, so there'll be no director's
He
cut
can't
or
do
anything
it unless
like
they let him, though, because I think they have the rights.
Sure,
He doesn't have
yeah.
the rights.
Yeah.
The IMDb description: a duke's son leads desert warriors against the galactic emperor and his father's evil nemesis to free their desert world from the emperor's rule.
that. So is this A New Hope, or is this Revenge of the Sith? I forget which one this is. Sounds very familiar.
It does sound very familiar, yeah. Our cast, first off, playing Paul Atreides. How would you say it?
Atreides.
Atreides, right? Am I
Yeah.
saying that right? Kyle MacLachlan. This is where he first met David Lynch, and they had a long history of still working together today, I believe.
Well, he was in Twin Peaks, right? Was he the star of Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
He was in
he was
all
the
18
star.
episodes of that, yep. Do you want to try any more of his top 4? Kyle MacLachlan?
Did you say 18 episodes? There was a lot more than 18 Twin Peaks episodes.
Wasn't there like a second season or something?
Yeah, there was
like
like,
that?
gotta be
I
like,
got all 18 episodes.
that
is what
must
I
have been the new Twin Peaks season that came out in 2020.
That's what I had
maybe?
in there, so I didn't know, yeah.
Yeah.
Blue Velvet? Question mark.
Blue Velvet is in there, yes. Yep.
Twin Peaks, Sex in the City.
No.
Sex in the City, really?
Dune
Yeah.
is in there, so there's only one more, and it's a TV show.
Really?
Yeah.
He was
And it's not Sex in the City?
No.
Yeah, he was in that for a couple seasons.
he was Fred Flintstone's boss, I think, in the John
second Flintstones?
Goodman,
Really?
John Goodman,
Okay. It's not in there, but yeah, he wasn't a Flintstone.
who was Barney? Rick Moranis.
Moranis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in that one of those.
Nope, it's a TV show.
Oh, and
Really?
you know he was also, because I wrote these down as I'm like, I gotta remember who he was. What's his face in The Doors? He was Ray
Manzarek?
Yeah, he was Ray
That's
Manzarek.
right.
in The Doors.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a comedy.
A TV show?
Yeah.
As a star or a guest star, or you don't know?
He's not the main star, but he's actually in 24 of the 79 episodes.
I don't know.
I give up.
Portlandia.
Oh,
The Fred Armisen show?
I never got
I
into his
watched that
episodes.
show, and that was really good.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
He's the mayor or something, I believe.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Playing Princess Irulan was Virginia Madsen. Excuse me. This is our first Virginia Madsen movie.
No, it's
You're a
not.
It is?
No, I saw her in something
She was in
recent.
class.
She was in class.
She was
That's
one
right.
of the girls in class.
You were right. I forgot about
as
that.
soon as I saw her, I'm like, class, I'm writing it down. I'm writing it down.
That didn't make her top 4 though.
I'm
class.
sure it did
Yeah.
not. She was one of the sorority girls, so no one cared about that.
Yeah, but sometimes they make it in their top
Maybe,
4.
maybe.
You know what I mean?
She was in Lone Survivor. Is that what it was called?
Is that the one about
With Kiefer Sutherland?
Yeah.
Yeah, she
I
was
didn't-
in that, I think.
Didn't make her top 4 though. No.
She's
I can't
also
think what else she was from.
She's in the original, at least. I don't know how many other ones. Candyman.
And that is correct. It's in her top 4.
Yeah,
Candyman.
she's like
Yep.
the last girl, or the
Okay.
only girl, I guess. And then
She's in Sideways. That's a very popular.
the Paul Giamatti
Oh, yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I never saw that. I always hear great.
I hear great things about that
What's the
movie as
guy's
well.
name? Hayden? Christian?
No,
Christian
it's
Hayden?
Thomas Hayden.
Thomas
Church.
Hayden.
Hayden's
Church,
Church.
yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's exactly the same thing.
The other
Hey.
2 in his in her top 4 is The Prophecy and The Haunting in Connecticut.
She's like one of those people that I think at this point, at the Dune point, people thought she was going to have this kind of trajectory. And
Yeah.
it became like
It kind of came like
Scream
this.
Queenie kind
Yeah.
of. I know
B-movie kind of
I
thing,
know
yeah.
her more because of her
Candyman?
brother, Michael Madsen.
Michael Madsen, yeah.
Mr.
What?
He's Mr.
That's her
Blonde.
brother?
Yeah, Mr. Blonde,
You didn't
and
No.
yeah. That's why every time I see him or her, I think of both of them at the same time. And I'm like, both of them, I feel should have had bigger careers. They've both kind of been B-movie.
You said
If Michael Madsen
Michael
hadn't found
Madsen.
Quentin Tarantino, we wouldn't know who Michael Madsen is, I
Yeah,
don't think.
he was in Free Willy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Take
so
your
we
word
would know
for
from
it.
that. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good thing you said that because I know he was saying Michael Madsen in my head. I was seeing Mads Mikkelsen. And
Oh,
Oh yeah, that's different. Yeah.
I'm like, what?
That would've
No,
been
that's not
wild,
right. That's
right?
not right. I'm like, what's going on?
I like
there?
him though, Mads
Oh
Mikkelsen.
yeah, he's great.
Playing Lady Jessica was Francesca Annis. This is not our first time seeing her.
Oh, no.
You may remember her from Krull.
Wait, who was she? Kroll?
She was the
I
widow
don't-
of the web in Krull.
Oh, no
my
way.
God.
That's funny.
I don't remember that. You know, it's funny. I think I blocked that movie out. Just like I lost the episode.
That was a good episode. Darn it.
Come on,
Sorry.
Krull was fun.
It was.
Zach was on for that one.
He
Yes, he was. Sorry, Zach.
Zach's very funny.
We'll have to have Zach on again soon for Firstborn and Hot Dog the movie, I believe.
So looking forward to Hot Dog, the movie. Let's do that.
Also in her top 4 was Dune, Lily, and The Libertine.
Yeah, I didn't recognize her at all. I'm surprised because if she was in Crowley, would have thought I would have
Yeah.
at least been like, haven't I seen her recently?
The Baron's Doctor was up next. Leonardo Semino.
Damn, the parents. Oh, the one that was like
Yeah.
picking all his pussy things.
He was in the Monster Squad. That was
I was love that movie as a kid.
Yeah.
I tried to watch it like 5 years ago.
doesn't hold up?
I tried. I was like, why did I like this as a kid? No.
That was a fun Fred Savage, right?
No.
Or am I thinking a different one?
You're thinking a different one. This is where like they have Wolfman and
it was supposed. I wanted to like it. It sucks. Yes.
But as a kid, I loved it.
I don't know this movie. I mean, I've heard of it.
He was also in Hudson Hawk and Waterworld.
And if you ask Bruce Willis and Kevin Costner, they both say those are like down points of their careers. They were like shitty movies at their heights.
Up next was Dana's boy Brad Dourif playing Peter DeVry.
Oh, Piter.
Piter,
He is
Peter,
the Mentat for the Baron. Yeah, oh yeah, he's got I wrote all his stuff down actually.
He's got
He's
a lot.
the Kool-Aid mouth guy, right?
He was the Mentat for the Baron.
Head.
He was the one that got poisoned by.
Yeah.
Lita.
He had the he was the guy in the new movie had like just the black line here.
Yes,
right? And he had like a
he
Kool-Aid
was,
stain.
David
The weird freak in every movie.
Yeah.
He was Mr. Polka Dot
Wormtongue?
Man in
He was Wormtongue?
Suicide. No,
Yep.
yes, this guy was Wormtongue
Yes.
in Lord of the Rings. Yes,
Yeah.
he was.
That was Lord of the Rings. Yeah, he was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
He
Nest.
was. He was the kid that they made had sex, and then did he kill himself?
I think he killed himself.
in that.
Yes, but did you know he's also the voice of Chucky?
I have voice of Chucky in my notes, and he's also
His daughter is now the voice of Chucky in the newer movies, and they were both at Monster Mania this past weekend.
But he's also like been the voice of Chucky for like 30 years.
Yeah.
Like he was every Chucky movie.
She's
he's the
doing
voice
it
of
now,
Chucky.
yeah.
I
That's
had
pretty
no
cool.
idea. And it's funny because when I started watching this, his voice and his mouth, something about his mouth, I was like, I know this guy.
I know that
And
mouth.
it kept bothering me because they show his mouth a lot in Lord of the Rings because his teeth are all disgusting.
And he's talking into the guy's ear,
yeah, he's
so
talking
they
to his
show a lot
ear.
of close-ups of his mouth.
close-up.
Yeah.
And then I had to go and search for it, and then I
He's
realized who he was.
also the doctor in Deadwood. He was awesome in Deadwood.
I never finished that.
I didn't finish
But
either.
like definitely first season, if you saw the first, he was the one like talking to Calamity Jane and blah 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 blah. He was the one that always had
I
to
got
go.
through like 4 episodes and I stopped.
He was the
Yeah.
one that always had to go to the whorehouse and like check out on the girls to make sure they were healthy enough for another
I
night.
did not realize that was him. Okay.
Okay. Up next was Jose Ferrer playing Padishah Emperor Shaddam IV.
Oh, that was the Emperor? Okay.
I don't
I
recognize
put him in there because he's his son Miguel Ferreira.
Okay.
And then you have the Caine Mutiny and Moulin Rouge were some of his movies, and Cyrano de Bergerac. That was a big movie too.
Okay.
Up next, I have Linda Hunt. She played Shadout Mapes.
Yes.
This is one of the people I wanted to talk to you
I know
about.
her.
Her. But do you know her from what I know her from?
No, maybe not. She was definitely the principal in Kindergarten Cop. She was the one that Arnold had to talk to get the job as
Kindergarten Cop is in her top 4.
Austin Powers?
That is not in her top
The
4.
Incredibles?
Did not make her top 4.
Oh,
She's-
yeah. She looks like her. Yeah, she was. About
I
to
think
say-
she's the voice of her.
Nah,
or
the
they,
one- the guy
movie in her
directed
top
The
4 we're
Incredibles
doing
was-
later this year.
they modeled her off of her.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
The Year of Living Dangerously.
Oh, jeez, I would have never gotten that. Okay, that's cool.
I have her in a little movie from 1980 called Popeye.
What? Oh,
She's Oxheart, the boxer. That's the mom. She's the mom to him in the corner.
oh, wow! I did not remember that because there's another Popeye character.
Yes, there
in
is.
this movie.
I'll get to him. I'll get to him later. Dana didn't know that it was him.
No, when you said it, I was like, oh yeah.
But
that's
this was
right.
my favorite one.
Oh, I didn't
Finding
remember her.
She
from,
played.
I
Yeah,
don't
she
remember
played,
her from Popeye. It's been a long time since.
If I pull her up, you'll
we should do a
her, yeah.
special on Popeye because
That would be a fun one to do. Since
haven't
we
seen
did
that in a
Midnight
long
Madness,
time.
we can break that one. Do that one.
I only knew her from Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah,
Like,
she
I recognized
was
her.
kind
but
of-
That's
I almost thought that Virginia Madsen was the mom in that. Like as soon as I saw Virginia Madsen in this, I'm like, oh, she's the mom from Kindergarten Cop. And then I was like, no, she's from Candyman. But then, Jesus, that's awesome.
Is she not the little woman from, from Austin Powers?
No, Frau Felicima?
Yeah.
No.
So who is she?
Who's Frau?
They look exactly the same.
She's not as tiny.
She's
was
not as
more
tiny?
of a comedic actress, that woman. I forget her name
Yeah.
right now, but she was one of those ones that was, she was
Well,
in.
up until
she-
now, I thought they were the same person.
She was in the Goldbergs, actually. She was one of the neighbors
Yeah,
on the
she's a Goldberg neighbor.
Yeah.
That's right.
But I
That's
don't
crazy.
remember her name
I
right
really
now.
Mrs.
thought they were the same
Oxheart.
person.
Yep. Mrs.
Mrs. Oxheart.
Playing Thufir Hawat was Freddie Jones.
These names, man.
Another guy from Krull. He was in Krull.
Who, I don't even know what
I don't remember who he was in Krull, but he was in Krull.
I don't remember who he is in this.
He's the mentor for. He's the guy with the big bushy eyebrows. Apparently,
my
in,
God.
In this world,
They have
of
big
Dune, they have big
eyebrows.
eyebrows.
Yeah.
Like those
Because
eyebrows.
Wormtongue
Yes.
and
I wrote
Tim
down
both
my
have-
second note is eyebrows.
Yeah, but
So-
just the Mentats have the big eyebrows. I guess that's
Yeah.
a sign of
it's all
them
the
having.
computing power. It's just like
It makes their eyebrows grow.
But he was in Krull, I mentioned, but he was also in The Elephant Man.
Oh,
and also
okay.
another Count of Monte Cristo.
Cat Monte Cristo. Maybe we should watch that.
Duncan, Idaho, was played by Richard Jordan.
And I don't know him, but I don't even know why they bothered putting him in this movie because
Yeah.
he was in like 2 scenes and then he was out. And
He
then
was
you're
in
like,
The Hunt for Red October,
Okay.
Logan's Run,
Logan's Run.
yeah, Dune, and Gettysburg.
Gettysburg. Oh, is that Matthew Broderick?
How about the 407 years ago? Remember that?
When Larry had a pig?
Larry? Yeah. Just see Curb Your Enthusiasm this week?
No.
Dana, you got to catch up.
I know, I'm
Bertie
behind.
started watching that recently, so I've been catching like episodes here and there.
Yeah.
It is really good. But
Yeah.
I haven't seen all of it now.
Where did I leave it? Oh, Silvana Mangiano was the Reverend Mother Ramallo. I have her in there. Did you know she was married to Dino De Laurentiis?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's
Who's
how she got the
Dino
job.
De Laurentiis?
He was the producer of this.
Oh.
Of this movie, but he was also the producer and
Superman?
director of Conan,
Oh, Conan. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. Right.
which is being made around the same time as this movie.
I think they had something to do with
Conan
Superman
Destroyer,
movies too.
that is.
Conan the Destroyer. Okay.
But she was known for nothing that we really know.
Yeah.
Dune and then some Italian movies.
It's fair. There's so many people in this movie that some of the people that I know in this movie I didn't even write down as being like, oh, he's from stuff because I don't need to remember that Patrick Stewart's in this movie.
And then you got Everett McGill played Stilgar.
Okay.
Is in 2 episodes of Twin Peaks. I don't know if you knew him from that. Yeah.
No, I don't recognize him.
Kenneth McMillan played Baron Vladimir Harkonnen.
Man, I know him from one other thing.
I think I know what it is.
He was in the Jesus Christ.
Come on,
Cat's Eyes.
You got it.
He's
That's
the
it.
one where
He was?
Striker,
Cat's Eye.
Striker,
Ted Stryker?
what's his name?
Rich Robert Hayes?
Robert Hayes, where he had to walk around the outside
Oh,
of the
he's in
building.
that one?
He was the guy that he was cheating on.
Yeah, that's
his
what
wife.
like 5 stories, right?
Yeah, but that was that story. He
I
was
think
the
that
one
comes up in a couple years.
because he's the one that
Yeah.
at the end of that episode, he's the one that has to walk around, and the pigeon pecks his foot until he falls off the building.
That's the Baron, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would want to pop one of those.
It was
so
it was
bad.
unwatchable.
How about
I just-
he was in Amadeus? You remember
Oh, was he?
Amadeus?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't remember him in that. Okay.
Then you had Jack Nance. He played Nefud.
Who was Nefud?
The Fud.
The foot.
The
Nefud. Who was that?
I don't really remember.
I don't know who that
Okay.
is.
I had him
don't know
down
him.
here though because he was in Eraserhead and Blue Velvet.
Oh, okay,
And
so
Lost
he's a-
Highway. So he was one in. But he
David
was
Lynch guy.
He died in '96 from homicide.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah. I got Nance met his second wife, Kelly Jean Van Dyke, the daughter of Jerry Van Dyke and niece of Dick Van Dyke in 1982 while in rehab. They married in May 1991. Van Dyke died by suicide on November 17th, 1991. Same year they married. Nance, who was in Bass Lake, California, filming Meatballs 4 at the time,
A movie
called
no
her
one's ever saw.
called her to tell her that he was thinking of leaving her due to her drinking and drug taking, and she threatened suicide. He attempted to console her, but a lightning storm knocked out the phone line in Bass Lake. Nance and the director, Bobby Logan, found the deputy sheriff who contacted the LA Police Department. They broke in and found that she had hanged herself.
Damn.
Nance claimed she was 4 months pregnant. On December 29, 1996, Nance lunched with friends Leo Bulgarini and Catherine Case. Nance had a visible crescent-shaped bruise under his eye, and when asked about it, he relayed to them a story about a brawl outside of Winchell's Donut store that morning. He went home complaining of a headache. Nance had developed a subdural hematoma, resulting in his death the following morning.
Wow.
Oh, so it wasn't like he got shot.
Yeah, Bulgarini found his body on the bathroom floor of his apartment in South Pasadena, California later that day. An autopsy revealed that his blood alcohol was 0.24 at the time of his death.
That's probably my alcohol level right
After an
now.
investigation, the LA County Sheriff's Office could not find evidence of the fight and therefore could not list the death as accidental or a homicide. The case is still open.
Interesting.
Wow.
This podcast just took a turn. It was
Yeah,
like
right?
one of the
Yeah.
crime podcasts for a
I was
second
like, yeah,
there.
we might get up there now.
Yeah.
Right? The Last House on the Left, is that crime podcast? I think that does really well.
And his wife, Dick Van Dyke's daughter, killed herself, or Jerry Van Dyke's daughter, killed herself because
Jerry Van Dyke's daughter
he
killed
couldn't
herself.
get a phone call to her. That sounds like an excuse. Like, oh yeah,
Well,
I was
he
trying
said
to
he was
call
on the
her.
phone with her, then that phone went out.
Yeah.
Is what he said. But
He's like, oh, my
they
signal got
married in
dropped, sorry.
May. They married in May of '91. He divorced. She died in November that same year.
Wow.
Wow.
She must have been a party then. So much fun to be with.
All right, let me get back to my page here. I got lost. Shucks. Here I am. Cyan Phillips playing the Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Mohanian.
Exactly.
You know who that was, right?
No.
Neither do I. I was hoping he did.
Sorry.
She was in Clash of the Titans.
No. Okay.
Oh, really?
Now I know who she is.
How about we go to Paul L. Smith? He played the Beast Raban.
Yes.
And you know him as Pluto.
Pluto from Popeye.
Yes.
That's the Dave Bautista character in this movie. He was the other redhead.
He's also
Yeah.
a Red Sonja.
Everybody's the Harkonnens are very redheaded in this movie
Yeah.
because Sting even had kind of red hair.
Another.
Oh yeah, shit, Sting's in this movie. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's coming up. First, we got Gurney Halleck, played by Pat Stewart.
Yes. I only have one question.
What's that?
About Patrick Stewart. Why did he have to have the dog, the little pug dog, cradled in his arms as he was running into battle?
I was hoping that when he showed up later that he would be like, I have the pug.
Yeah, I was kind of like, is that like protecting him? Is that how their shields are generated in this version?
Well, it's funny because at one point when there's chaos going on, you see the pug just going up some steps. So I guess after that
He just
point, he grabbed it. But that's Paul's dog, I would imagine.
Well, there's a scene earlier where there's a person with like 6 bulldogs on a leash. And I was like, oh, it's nice to know that in the year 10,191 bulldogs. And they haven't bred them any worse now. They're just as bad as they are in 1984.
Same with pugs.
So, yeah, the pug thing was really weird.
It's David Lynch. It's like the least weird thing he does.
Yeah.
You want to try Pat's top 4?
Is there anything non-X-Men or Star Trek in there?
Nah.
Okay.
It's Logan, Star Trek First Contact, Star Trek Insurrection, and Star Trek The Next Generation.
Wow, Insurrection's the worst of the Next Generation movies, but whatever.
I don't know if I've ever seen him in anything that wasn't X-Men or Star Trek.
American Dad.
Dune.
Never saw... Dune. I never saw American Dad.
Yeah.
That's a cartoon, right?
Yeah.
I never saw that one.
Oh, wait, does he actually voice...
Avery Bullock in
I just thought it was someone
that's
trying
it's
to
him.
do his voice.
Because he was
that's
in,
even better.
Because he's in like a lot of, I was going to say Todd McFarlane, Seth MacFarlane stuff. He was
he's
the
a Family
narrator.
Guy, yeah.
He was the narrator in Ted.
Yep.
And, I remember there was a...
Watch Ted on Peacock. That's a good show.
Yeah.
If there's a Family Guy or American Dad episode where he was narrating it and they went to him like in a balcony and he was kind of narrating it and whatever, they came back from a commercial and he was sleeping and you just saw someone like poking him with a stick. He's like, well, yes, I'm here. For a guy that was like classically trained and
it's like
Shakespearean
trained
actor, like his last 30 years have been nothing but nonsense, and he'll be remembered forever, but not because of any of his Shakespearean stuff.
Playing Fade Ralph was Sting.
Sting is the reason why I saw this movie in the theater in 1984.
Really?
I didn't know what Dune was. I didn't care.
You want to try
about
his
Dune.
top 4?
This?
The Police.
Dune is in his top 4, yeah.
He was in Brimstone and something fucking thing in the 70s. I don't remember that.
Didn't make it.
Oh,
Murders in the Building. Only Murders
Oh,
in
he
the
was.
Building.
Oh, yeah.
Murders
That did
season
not
1.
make it.
He was in the Bride, which was a Frankenstein movie.
Did not make it.
Then I'm out.
The Emperor's New Groove?
No.
Really? Who's he in that?
I don't know.
I think it's an
I'll look
animated
at
one,
that.
right?
Yeah.
I think he
I
did
love
the
that movie.
soundtrack.
Cold Mountain
Oh, okay. Nicole
and
Kidman.
Zoolander 2.
Oh, my
I
gosh.
didn't see either one of them.
I'll be seeing Sting on November 9th this year in Las Vegas.
Nice.
With Billy Joel.
With Billy
I was going to say with Michelle,
Whoa.
but I know you didn't.
That's a good show.
Yeah.
Obviously, Michelle was going to be there, but Billy Joel will be there too.
Where at again?
In the Raider Stadium.
Is that
Nice.
one after the other, or is it a joint?
Together. Yeah, they're together.
Playing together, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
I
if
mean,
it was
like, I assume it's going to be
one
like
and
one
then
does one set and then the other does
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
they'll
They might come
and
out
do some
together
stuff
or
together.
something, yeah.
Okay, cool.
That seems to be because I saw Elvis Costello and Daryl Hall are doing that now. They're touring together. Or they just announced
Yeah, I
they're
just
doing
saw
a tour.
Darryl Hall join somebody, yeah.
Elvis, yeah.
Yeah.
Not
That's because he has a restraining
Not
order
Austin
against
Butler.
John Oates, yeah. They have a
Elvis
thing.
Costello.
Yeah.
I saw Elvis Costello. We saw him open for
That's right,
Steely Dan.
That was
That
a
was
great
really
show.
good.
That
yeah.
was a great show,
I
yeah.
had so much fun at that show.
Yep.
Dean Stockwell played
Oh, fuck yeah. I forgot Dean Stockwell's in this too. Yeah.
Dr. Wellington Yue.
UA. Yeah.
He died in 2021.
Oh, he died?
Yeah, age
I didn't know
85.
It's funny because I only know him from one thing and I
Me
never
too.
saw that one
What's
thing.
that?
Oh, I saw that one thing.
Quantum Leap.
I loved
Quantum Leap, yeah.
Quantum Leap.
Never watched an
Yeah.
episode
I
of
love
that.
Scott Bakula.
He was in Married to the Mob,
Okay.
Paris, Texas, and Compulsion are the other top
Okay.
4. Yeah.
Love Paris, Texas. But I forgot he was in that, to be honest.
Who else was in that?
Harry Dean Stanton.
I like Harry Dean Stanton.
And the other names are escaping me, but he's like the main guy in
I
that.
remember that movie, but I don't think I've seen it. Yeah. Max von Sydow playing Dr. Kynes. He died in 2020, age 90.
This movie keeps going with people. I mean, like we're like 15 people in.
This isn't our first Max von Sydow movie, though.
Ooh. Oh yes, he was in. Oh shit! A Strange Brew.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Forgot about that.
Yep. And you know him from Flash Gordon.
Yes, Ming the
Seventh
Merciless.
Seal.
Minority Report.
Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close.
He was also in The Force Awakens for like 5 seconds.
Yeah,
I guess they were just like,
I was like,
you got anything
Max,
going on this week?
something? Alicia Witt is playing Aaliyah.
Oh, the little
The
sister.
girl.
Yeah.
I don't know
Urban
her.
Legend, 88 Minutes.
I saw
Dune
Urban
and
Legend.
Last Holiday. Yeah.
She's probably younger
I
than
saw
us,
Last
right?
Holiday.
I remember Urban
saw all
Legend.
those movies.
I think I remember Urban Legend.
Yeah,
Didn't they
and
make more than one
Noxema
of them?
Girl was in it. I only saw the first one.
They might have made more. I'm not sure yet. Sean Young playing Chani.
Keeps going. This cast, man. Like every time I think we're done with the cast,
This is our first Sean Young movie.
does Connor know Sean Young?
Oh no, this
She
isn't our
can
first.
do.
This isn't our
It's
first
not
Sean
our
Young.
first
yeah.
Sean Young
I
movie.
mean,
'cause
maybe I've seen other stuff.
She was.
but not off the top of my head. I can.
She's in Blade Runner.
Yeah,
and
Blade Runner
2049. She is Harrison Ford's side piece in both those
okay.
movies.
Okay, so she was almost in 2 Ridley Scott movies.
Yes.
Almost.
Yep.
And she's in Stripes.
Yeah.
She's-
That's
she's-
not in her top 4.
And
though,
then,
yeah.
damn, dude, I have.
she got
she's-
involved with Jack Nicholson, and then she went crazy.
Well, she was. I remember the story about her.
Oh no, I'm thinking of the crazy girl.
She was
Clint
also.
Eastwood.
Fuck. She's in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. She is. Einhorn and Finkel and Einhorn. She's the kicker that gets the sex change and then becomes the female cop that tries to bust him. But she was so wanting to be Catwoman in Batman Returns.
that's right. Yeah.
That she
Oh.
like showed up at like Tim Burton's house like dressed as Catwoman, and she was so fucking nuts. And
Wow.
Tim Burton's like, yeah, I'm going to go with Michelle Pfeiffer instead. How's that
Yeah.
sound?
that was a smart move.
Yeah.
I think it was actually on your this podcast, like whenever you did Blade Runner. When
We did that with Brady, right?
Yeah, Brady did on that
you guys
one,
are
yeah.
making fun of the scene when she's trying to leave and he's like, I paid for the full hour or whatever you guys are joking about. Oh my god, I still think about that. It's so funny.
It's funny because she looks so much younger in this movie than she did in Blade Runner. And Blade Runner's 2 years earlier, but I
Yeah.
guess they were
This
kind of
was
filmed at the same time.
Yeah.
I
She
guess
might have filmed one before the other. You don't know.
there was a lot more post production in this.
Orlop was played by Danny Corkill. He was in Daryl. I don't know. And then he got Judd Omen played Jameis. He was Mickey in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
The guy that drove the car, the big Cadillac.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember them in this.
And then I have David Lynch.
Was he, in this?
He was a radio operator
Yeah, he
on
was
the
the
mining
guy
ship.
in the when they first go to save and they're like, oh,
Rescue
the
him from
worm
the
is coming from the
sandworm.
thing.
Okay.
He's driving it.
Oh, jeez, I didn't.
He's
pick
got
up on that.
dirt all over his
Yeah.
face and there's goggles up.
Yeah, I know what David Lynch
Yeah.
looks like too. I did not.
It was his
recognize
voice
It's hard to
that
recognize
when
him,
I
yeah.
heard the instant I heard that voice, I
Why
knew
do you know his voice so well?
Because he was in Twin Peaks.
Oh, okay.
And he screamed in Twin Peaks the whole time. Every line he
He
had.
acts in the
Yeah,
TV
he plays
show.
a detective and he's deaf or he has hard of hearing. So everything he does, he yells. Every single line he does. And he was yelling in this one too because he was talking through the thing, whatever. So the second I heard it, I was like, I knew right away it was David Lynch.
Is that the cast?
That's the cast.
We got in less than a half hour.
Yeah.
While shooting on location in Mexico, filming came nearly to a halt when most of the cast and crew came down with Montezuma's Revenge, more
Remember the
commonly
shits.
known as Traveler's Diarrhea.
Oh.
The studio had to build a full cafeteria large enough to accommodate the entire cast and crew for every meal, as well as import all the food from the United States to keep the movie on schedule.
Oh my God.
I think there's some scenes in here we can tell when they had the diarrhea the worst. That's awesome. You're not supposed to drink the water in Mexico. Everybody knows
Everybody knows that, yeah. It's the first rule.
That's crazy. I think we're gonna have a hard time talking about this movie over the next.
That's why I took a half hour to talk about the
I'm just
cast.
saying. But I mean, I'm not gonna have a hard time talking about it. I think we're gonna have a hard time not talking about it in comparison to the 2021/2024 movies
Yeah.
that we've all. I mean,
I'm halfway through.
I watched all of I watched this 2021, 2024, and 1984 within a 6-day period.
Yeah,
It's a
me
little
too.
much.
I watched Dune 2021 with the kids and Michelle the other day.
Yeah.
Before we went and saw the movie in the theater the other day. Dan and Tara were there, and then Danny, Michelle, and I went. And then I watched 1984 the day after that. So
Yeah.
it's all kind of mushed together now
I
in my
agree.
brain.
But I have this is the most notes I've ever written for any of the movies that we've watched. But
This might be
Is
the
that
least
good or
notes I've
bad?
ever.
it's good. Well, there's some things where I'm like, oh, did we know this before type of
Yeah.
situation. But no, it was definitely a lot of Dune in a 5-6 day period. I think it was like 8 hours worth of it.
And I'm halfway through the book right now too that I'm reading.
Is this? Oh, you're
Are
reading
you
it too.
audiobook or are you reading it?
I am reading it on my Kindle while listening to the audiobook.
I've done that.
I have
So
feel
you're just
like
following along.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, but I feel like
Well,
I'm
it doesn't
picking up
help
a
you out.
lot.
Well, I think that's a good way,
Because
yeah.
this is the third. I read the book 10 years ago, and because that's when I decided I was going to read all the books that everybody always talks about. And I read Dune, and then I listened to the audiobook like 2 years ago. Probably after 2021 came out, I listened to the audiobook, and now I'm reading
Yeah.
it while listening to the audiobook.
I've done that. When I was in school a couple years ago, any book I had to write a report on, I bought it and listened to it and did that at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was tremendously.
Risk management.
Yeah, it was so
I
beneficial.
can't listen to this. It sounds just like me.
Yeah, it was just so beneficial because you really did learn it. You
I know the
absorb it a
story.
lot
I think
more.
so too,
You
yeah.
really do.
I know the story of Dune, but
Yeah.
I know if I listen to the audiobook, I'm doing it like while I'm doing other things.
Yeah.
I'm be like, wait, did that chapter just end and I don't even know what just happened? I'm being forced to
Yeah.
also look at it.
Yeah.
I'm staying with it. I'm not getting distracted by anything else. My eyes are on the
You're basically
Kindle.
reading it.
Now,
and also reading along.
increase
yeah.
the speed.
Well, I'm at 1.3.
Okay, yeah, that's
I
perfect.
thought you were about to say 3 point.
I know, I was like,
Well, I was
that's
gonna say
crazy.
because I was doing it at 1.0 at the beginning. I'm like, oh my god, 19 hours. I'm like, this is gonna take forever.
Is
And
that-
I did.
Yeah.
I brought up to 1.2, and that was like
4 hours off.
17
Yeah.
hours, and then now I'm at 1.3, and it's like 16 hours. So
Yeah.
I think I have like 12 hours left. But
Next thing you know, you can't go back. You can't go lower once you go higher. It will kill you to listen to a book at normal speed.
it does
Start
seem
listening at 0.5.
weird
Yes.
when they're talking.
0.5 is what they should be
Yeah.
listening to it at.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So anyway,
Do we know why the Baron floats? Why is he floating in both of these movies? It's never explained. One time he's floating with balloons, and the other time he's just floating.
I
Why?
don't remember why. And
I don't
like
know
I
if
said,
there-
I'm
I
reading
don't
the
know
book
if
now
there's-
too. I
maybe
don't know if
there's
they
something
even
in the book.
describe it.
Because no one else floats in his people. Like
I
Sting
think
doesn't
it's
float.
like I think it's because he's so fat he can't walk. I think it's that kind of thing.
Okay.
Like he's so fat.
That he has to
He just
float.
has to
Okay,
float.
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's weird how the boil thing. I don't think is in the book at all. Like I don't.
I
remember
really
if
wanted to pop those.
Don't shake
so
your
bad.
head. You gotta talk, dude. This is an
Yeah.
audio
I keep
video.
Listeners
forgetting
at home
that
can't
there's
see
I'm
your
looking at
head.
Connor's facial expressions. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't help at all.
No, I don't think there's any mention of the boils in the book.
Ugh.
They don't mention it, right? They don't
Not
mention
that
it,
I'm
right?
aware of, no.
Yeah, I remember. Like there were a couple things that stuck with me from the 1984 version that I saw in the theater because of Sting.
Yeah.
And then when I was watching it the other day or yesterday, I was like, oh yeah. And the boils was one of them. Sting coming out in the blue Speedo was the other thing too.
That scene was supposed to be done naked originally, and he was ready to do it, he said, but they changed it up later.
And I don't know if there's any kind of thing about that in the book. Like the way he was introduced in 2024,
yeah.
I think was more how he was introduced. And he's in the second chapter of the book. There's a scene where the Baron is talking to Dave Bautista and Austin Butler sitting there telling the plan.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you're talking the movie now. You got me confused. I thought you were talking before.
I'm using them as names rather than
Because I don't know the real
yeah. So he lays out the whole plan in the
Yeah.
second chapter. I thought this movie actually did a better job of explaining
100%.
the science and the behind the scenes stuff
Yeah.
of Dune better than the new movies, because the new movies was all show no tell. 1984
I felt like they
is all
expected
tell no
you
show.
to know stuff with the
Yes.
new one, and I didn't. But then when I watched this, I said, "Oh my god!" When Virginia Madison first comes on and gives like a 1 minute speech
Oh, yeah.
or whatever, I'm like, that explains so much.
Yes.
Why didn't they just do that in the other fucking movie?
I felt the same way, and
Yeah.
I didn't need that in the Dune movies because I'd seen this movie
'Cause you
before I
knew,
read
right.
the book, but like
Yeah.
I felt watching this again, I'm like, well, this just explained everything really quickly.
Yeah.
They did a real good job of doing that. Like even the scene with the hand in the box, the Gom Jabbar scene, like in the Timothy Chalamet version, I remember thinking like, are they going to even explain what's going on with his hand? She just says pain at one point. You see it by his face that he's like,
Yeah.
But this was a much better. They showed the hand. They showed like the skin dripping off of it and stuff like that. I was like, now I know what's going on with his hand.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it explained things so much better. Even little things like I was telling one of you, I didn't know why the movie was called Dune. And in the new movie, I didn't know why it was called Dune because they never uttered the word Dune in the 2021 version. In this one, they say Arrakis, also known as Dune. I was like, why couldn't they just
I think
fucking say
Baron
that
says
before?
my desert, my Arrakis, my Dune at one point, but that's okay.
Yeah,
He
but
may
it's
say it one
like,
time.
yeah, but I don't think he said it in the until like the end of the movie.
Maybe not. They may not have said it at all. It's hard now for me
In
to
this
tell
one,
what they said.
84, they call the spice melange. Do they say that in the
That's just
new
French.
I don't
For
remember.
what? Spice?
Yes, it's a French word, but it's supposed to mean a spice variety, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I read.
but
I think they do say it in part 1, like
Do they?
briefly, but like it's just generally like referred to as spice, like from that
generic
point forward.
spice.
And in this movie, and not in the new movie, and I don't think in the book at all, they're the Spacing Guild guys, the squid-looking monster things. I don't think they're described in the book at all, looking like that. Or I know they say at one point,
exist.
they say at one point they've taken the spice for so long they've mutated.
Oh, okay.
But now they look like monsters. They
I
don't
couldn't
look
figure
like-
out what that was. And the guy that was mopping the whole time. So on either side of the tank were guys dressed in black, and then two of them on each side were mopping the floor the whole
I
time.
think the water must have been
But
seeping
like,
out of that
they
machine.
still left the water all over and they left. What's the point? You weren't even doing anything. They were mopping.
I like the guy that had like the old 1930s radio microphone talking into that, interpreting, I guess, whatever the Space Guild guy was saying.
So what are those
Today
creatures?
on the radio.
Are those creatures supposed to be like
I'm on a Mexican
like they
radio.
can see the future?
They're
like,
the
what is
ones
them?
that are able to fold space so they can travel through time quicker.
so they're the ones doing it.
They're the Spacing Guild. They're the ones that care about the spice more than anything.
Okay.
Who
The
sings
melange.
it? Mexican voodoo.
Oh, I don't know. Sorry.
Or Walla Voodoo sings it. Mexican radio.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Writer and director David Lynch said he considers this movie his only real failure of his career. To this day, he refuses to talk about the production in great detail and has refused numerous offers to work on a special edition DVD.
So they have offered him the chance.
Yeah, he says Lynch had always claimed that revisiting the movie would be too painful an experience to endure. And as of 2024, Lynch has clarified that a director's cut is impossible, as Dino De Laurentiis never allowed him to shoot scenes the way he wanted to, or to take liberties with the source material Lynch felt he needed.
If the scenes aren't filmed to begin with, then I see how it's impossible to do that. Because if there's a 4-hour cut in there, just release the 4-hour cut.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's on the 4-hour cut, but there is a 4-hour cut I saw, but I don't know what's on there. I don't know if it's online somewhere or what, but
It's not the naked Sting. He's
Yeah.
not on the 4-hour.
I want to see like
Sting was ready to come out of there nude, it said, but the Sting had agreed to shoot the scene nude, but the studio panicked and told the costume designers they had to put something on him. The skimpy wing G-string he wore was made almost at the very last minute before the scene was set to film.
I want to be in the studio office when they said Sting's gonna be naked and they're panicking. There's running around, papers are flying like, oh no!
And Sir Patrick Stewart's casting as Gurney Halleck was actually a mistake. In a rush to replace another actor, director David Lynch thought he hired a different person who was also named Patrick Stewart.
Get the fuck! Come on! Is that really true? He shows up on set and they're like, "Oh, not that Patrick Stewart." He wasn't anybody then. Star Trek hadn't even come out yet, so I don't know. And I mean, maybe David Lynch knew who he was, but like
in total Patrick Stewart style, he was at that time completely unfamiliar about who Sting was as a musician.
Patrick Stewart didn't know who he was?
Yeah, when meeting him on set, he asked if he was a solo artist, to which Sting replied he was in a band called The Police. Stewart, totally unaware, thought Sting played in a Police band.
Come on. I mean, the Police were the biggest band in the world for a couple of years there.
Yeah, but if he's not listening to music...
I guess not.
How old was Patrick Stewart around that time?
He's always
40s?
been like
age.
he's always been
Yeah.
like 75.
I know.
He's always
because
been
he
75.
didn't look young. He looked
He's in his
as
80s
what
now,
I know
right?
him to look like.
But he looks the exact same. I mean, he
Yeah.
looks a little
Oh,
older
yeah.
now, but
He looks older then.
Yeah, he does.
He's only in his 80s right now.
Yeah, 180s.
Yeah, like what? He looked like he was in his 80s on the first X-Men.
I am
because he was
telling you,
bald.
Patrick
It has
Stewart
to do
has
with being
always
bald.
looked
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
Always.
But
Like,
he's handsome. He was handsome back
he's not a
then.
bad-looking guy.
Yeah, it's just I think because he was so bald, like it
and
just,
gray, bald, and the hair he had left was
Yeah.
gray.
Not even gray, white.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's weird because he was probably like 40 in this movie, or maybe not even. This movie was 40 years old.
Yeah,
He's
probably like-
83.
So he was
He's
like
43.
So he was like, yeah, 43.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
when does he go into Star Trek after
That's like
this?
87.
Okay, so 3 years later,
Yeah.
and
He looks the same.
Yeah, he looks the same.
Yeah.
And then 20 years after that, when he's
in
playing Professor
X-Men,
X,
he looks the same. It's crazy.
And then when he's Picard in the new Picard episodes on Paramount, he
Yeah.
looks the same.
Wow.
He does look older now, but
Yeah.
you would have thought like if you saw Dune and then you saw Picard, they're like, was this filmed like 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Because he was 75 in that.
But
and
now that
80.
he's 83 and it's something new that you've seen, does he look 83 or does he look 103?
When I see Patrick Stewart, I always figure he's like 75 in everything
Okay.
I've ever seen him in. When he was Logan.
So now that he's
Logan
83, he looks 75. So technically, he looks better for his age now.
like I said, he looks like now he's got like the sagging kind of
Okay,
thing that
yeah.
old people get. So now he's
Yeah.
got that going.
Okay.
So
Give
he
him some
looks
Botox
older.
and he's 40 again. is what you're saying.
Well, they were talking about filming another season of the Picard show. I'm like, how long can he keep doing this
Yeah.
shit? Like, he's not doing any action stuff, but still, when he was in this doing the fight with Paul, I was like, oh my god, don't let Patrick Stewart do that. He's gonna have a heart attack, but he's only 40.
But isn't
Yeah.
Dick Van Dyke's like 97? He's out driving cars and stuff like
I
that.
just thought it was. I just look at Patrick Stewart and he's a geriatric man, even though he's 10 years younger than me in this movie. I mean, I'm a geriatric man now, but I look at him. He's always an old man.
I don't know if it's still on YouTube, but Sean Young posted a 6-minute video behind the scenes footage in 2010 that she recorded on set with a Super 8 camera in 1983. I wonder if that's on YouTube, but 200 workers spent 2 months hand clearing 3 square miles of Mexican desert for the location shooting.
God damn,
Could you
Oh
imagine
my
doing that?
god. Jesus
Clearing it.
Christ.
Clearing it.
I guarantee you they were locals and not paid well.
They could have flown
Oh,
to
and then
Saudi
they put
Arabia
this-
and they would have
yeah.
had like a billion miles of clear sand. I
Just
mean,
go
the
to
whole
like
thing-
Tunisia where they did like Star Wars.
Yeah,
or
right.
something, you know what I mean?
Wow.
That is crazy. There's where all the budget went. Yeah, you're probably right.
Speaking
They
of
probably
that,
didn't pay them all.
that when Patrick Stewart and Senior McLaughlin are doing their like training,
McLaughlin's so
and
funny.
we got the
first
Daniel
look
and I
at- yeah.
met the Minecraft.
The shields.
Yeah.
that looked.
That was the worst part of the movie. The
Yeah.
shields were the worst
They should have
part.
just
Oh my
left that
God.
out.
Yeah.
They should have just pretended
They
like it
could've
wasn't
just,
hitting
like-
them.
Yeah.
They could have done a thing where like when it like hit them, it was just a little like flash of light. Like,
Yeah.
it looked
or
like there was an
something.
Yeah.
invisible
Yeah.
energy there instead of
Yeah.
like the most clunky, horrible looking effects I've
Absolutely.
ever
That's
seen.
bad decision.
1984 CGI. They were like, this looks amazing. This is great.
But they had other movies. Star Wars was out already, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had other things. They could have made that better. That was
It's
embarrassing.
amazing how this
Alien is already out.
This is
All
8
of
years
the Star
after.
Wars are out at that point.
Yeah.
3 of
8
them.
years after, or 7 years after A New Hope.
Yeah,
A New
yeah, yeah.
Hope looked so much better than
Yeah.
this. It's amazing how, like, the outer space scenes, I
And you
was
would
really
think with a
disappointed.
production crew of 1,700 people, this movie required 80 sets to be built on 16 sound stages. Took more than 6 years to make it.
Like, the outer space scenes, I thought looked really fake. I was
David
like,
Lynch worked on it for
like,
3.5 years.
What?
that's
David
crazy.
Lynch worked on this for 3.5 years.
Oh my god. No wonder he started making really weird shit.
No, he made Eraserhead before this. He was always
Oh,
a
he
weirdo.
did? I didn't know he
that's-
did
that's
that.
like
Oh,
his
did you ever
first
see
movie.
Eraserhead?
So weird.
I think I did when I was younger,
Ooh,
but
that's a
I
fucked
didn't
up movie,
know
man.
that he made that.
No holding back in that movie. That's freaking insane.
Yeah, the inner dialogue got me every time. Every time someone just said, "Oh, he's looking at
Yeah,
me."
yeah.
Like,
the
what are
inner
you
dialogue
doing?
when they're explaining the plot was good, but it was like, did he just look at me? And you're like,
The cow that Robin
Yeah, where
eats
the hell did that cow come from?
It's a real frozen dead cow that he was eating.
Oh
too.
my
Oh,
god.
he did. He grabbed a piece off it and
Yeah.
started eating it as he walked by.
That's sad. Also, like, where did they have cows in I mean,
They have bulldogs.
I know. I shouldn't have been surprised. Also, what was the deal with the cat in the box with the rat?
That was really weird
That's
too.
my
They
favorite
don't really
scene.
explain
Yeah.
that, do they? Do
That
they?
is-
Like he said, you have to keep this cat alive, or if the cat dies, you die. And then
It's a
like, it just-
Lynchism.
ended.
It's just like nonsense
Yeah.
for the sake of David
But
wanting
Yeah.
to be
because
weird.
they cut out in the second new movie, in the 2024 Dune, they cut out the whole tofu. He's not in the movie. Their Mentet's not in the movie, but they did capture him, and then I think he becomes the Baron's Mentet for a while, I think. But that scene made no sense with the cat and the poison and
And there
keeping
was
it alive.
a rat tape to it, which I
Yeah.
didn't
Yes.
see at
And
first.
And he's like, you have to milk this thing.
Yes,
and it's like,
that's what it was.
It's like, are you milking the cat or are you milking the rat taped to the cat? Like, what are we doing?
and then it was
What's
just
happening?
gone. I didn't understand that at all.
and the what was the thing that Robin?
That's why I don't know how to say
He
it. Rabbit
crushed
Robin.
that thing up to drink it.
I know,
I was
I
like,
don't-
what the
Yeah,
hell
that was
is
weird.
that thing?
So weird.
Producer Rafaela De Laurentiis, I wonder who she was related
Yes.
to.
Daddy, can I have a roll of this?
She asked other cast members to join her in the room one day as she called Orson Welles on speaker to ask him if he would be interested in playing the role of the Baron Harkonnen.
Oh wow! Could you imagine Orson Welles like all boiled up and shit like that?
After a pause, Orson Welles responded, "You mean the the floating fat man?" and hung up.
But he'd obviously read Dune. He knew. That's pretty funny.
But that would have been interesting if Orson Welles played that role, right? I mean,
but he was taking those roles late at the end of his career,
Yeah.
like kind of like whatever.
I don't think I
I'll
know what
show
he
up.
looks like.
Big fat guy.
Yeah,
Big
obviously,
beard,
clearly,
big
yeah.
bearded fat guy, but bigger and fatter than me. Look at me and like double me.
and Helena Bonham Carter was originally cast as Princess Urlan, but her
Really?
scheduling conflicts, a room with a view, forced her to leave the movie.
I didn't even know she was a thing until like Tim Burton got a hold of her. Interesting.
Yeah. I have written down randomly finger bite. Did someone got I just wrote down the finger bite. Did someone get their finger bit? I don't know why I wrote that down.
I don't remember.
I
that.
just have the finger bit.
This movie was kind of like comparing it to the new movies. I think the first half of this movie holds up really well as far as matching kind of the pace of the 2021 Dune and explaining stuff. It's the second half. It's once they land in the desert
Yeah.
after Jessica and Paul kind of escape.
You're right.
And he's making out with Churi like on their first meeting or whatever.
Oh yeah, first meeting they're
she's,
in love.
She's all on
Yeah.
top of him right away. I was just like, damn. I was like,
They're
I don't
really-
think that happens
yeah.
that fast. And then it was almost like they got to that part and then they just had a yada yada over it. They sped through
Yep.
so much of this
They
movie
really
the
did.
second half of it. I thought the first half was much better than the second half.
Max von Sydow, it took him 2 weeks to film his role, so he was only there for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Who was he again?
He's the guy from Strange Brew and Star Wars.
Oh.
No. In this,
He was
His name was
damn, who was he?
I can't think of his name.
He was one of the good guys. He was
Dr. Kynes. He was a doctor.
oh, okay.
Yeah, what?
Was he the guy with Kool-Aid? The bigger guy with the Kool-Aid all over his mouth?
Nah.
Val Kilmer turned down the role of Paul Atreides.
Oh my God, it would have been so much better with Val Kilmer.
No,
Stop it.
And according to the biography 5 Easy Decades, Jack Nicholson at one point in the late 70s considered directing Dune, but decided that it would be too much of an undertaking. He also turned down the role of Gurney Halleck.
Now, see, that would have been really cool. Having Jack as Gurney Halleck at that time, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
right after Shining kind of thing. That I can see. Him directing it. I mean, I don't know what Jack Nicholson directs. Like, is he a good director or not? I don't know what
Yeah.
he's directed, but having him as Gurney would have been pretty fun. I mean, I certainly like Patrick Stewart, and I like you too, Lily. I can hear
Glenn Close turned down the role of Lady Jessica, not wanting to play the girl who was always running and falling down behind the men.
I think they did a much better job of Jessica in the new movies with
Oh,
Rebecca
definitely.
Ferguson. She was a go-getter. She
yeah.
wasn't just a follower. She
Yep.
was
And
really good.
I
Sir
agree.
John Hurt was offered the role of Dr. Yui.
Oh, that would have been fun.
I believe that he was in the miniseries because I had looked that up too to
Oh,
see
really?
because there was in 2000 there was a miniseries on
Yeah.
sci-fi.
Like a 3
Oh no,
season
I'm thinking of
That's
William Hurt.
William Hurt
Yeah,
played-
never mind.
Leto Atreides in Dune 2000, the documentary about the TV series. Hurt said that he was a fan of the book series and that he originally wanted to be a part of this movie, but seeing what it turned out to be, he was happier not having had a role in it.
Yeah.
I think once I finish Dune Messiah, and Children of Dune books, I'm going to go back and watch that 3-season miniseries because
Yeah.
I heard good things about it.
Really?
I've never
Rob
seen a second
Lowe
of
also
it.
turned down the role of Paul Atreides.
Oh, that's good.
I think Rob Lowe's been attached to every single movie we've
Right?
done.
We
In the
always,
80s,
he's always
yeah.
him and Tom Cruise are always
They're
attached
always,
to
they're
everything.
always in. Until they're not.
So they talk about, when you're walking out in the desert, you can't do the rhythm. And in the movie, they really have no rhythm when they're walking. They're especially careful to slide a leg, do whatever. In this, they say the rhythm attracts it. You can't have a rhythm. You can't. And then they just walk like
Yeah,
normal.
they didn't
They
get
didn't do
into that
anything. They
whole
just
thing.
normally walk. You just told them you can't do that. And then they're all doing it.
The Iron Maiden song "To Tame a Land" from the Peace of Mind album was inspired by the Dune novels. Bruce Dickinson frequently uses literature and religious text as inspiration for some of his songwriting,
Yes,
as
they do.
does bassist Steve Harris, who composed this particular tune.
Okay, yeah, it's a good song. They definitely, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner and I know Somewhere in Time. They got a lot of songs that are based on literature.
Silvana Mangano had been off screen for 12 years, but made the film as a favorite for her husband Dino De Laurentiis. Anybody did? And can we talk about who did the soundtrack? Do you know who did the soundtrack for this album?
I do.
Tell them.
Toto.
That's right.
They liked Africa so much. They're like, oh, you know all about this kind of stuff.
The music was one of the better parts of this movie.
Yeah.
I can't say I remember any of the music in particular.
Wow.
Well, it was clearly not as offensive as everything else going on
Yeah,
screen.
yeah.
You know?
I only knew it was Toto because I was watching the credits in the beginning when it popped up, and I was surprised by that.
I think one of the biggest problems here is like the fundamental difference between the book story and then this movie's story, where they kind of like don't explain the Bene Gesserit plan to like manipulate bloodlines and like have the Kwisatz Haderach like become a person at a certain point, and how they influence the Fremen religion. Like they kind of leave a lot of that out, where it almost make it seem like Paul is actually the Messiah in this movie.
Well,
and
it seemed like they made it.
true.
He made it rain at the end. So
Yeah, he made it rain. Like he like looked at a boulder and it exploded. Like he became like a
He had the
god
for-
by the
he
end
had
of
the
the movie.
force, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
I
he
know.
killed Sting, he yelled and the ground cracked
Yeah.
under him. I was like, the whole point of all this eventually will be that Paul is actually
Don't
not the Messiah. So-
Hello. Now all of us know this.
Well, in the from the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not the Messiah. It's all he's playing the part of a Messiah, a messianic
Who
figure.
is it? His sister? Don't tell me.
No,
I got some more,
no, you've seen it, the religion's fake. Like they made it up.
They planted these
Like, there
ideas
is
on the
no
planet for
Messiah.
hundreds of years just to give them the idea that there was
I
this.
didn't catch on to that. I
Yeah,
guess.
sorry.
Sylvia Christel was considered for the role of Lady Jessica. You know who Sylvia Christel is.
Do I know who she
Yeah,
is?
Emmanuel. And then Jodie Foster, Brooke Shields, Kim Basinger. I'm not sure if I'm
Basinger.
saying that correctly or not. Melanie Griffith, Michelle Pfeiffer, Meg Ryan, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Christy McNichol,
They were all
Tatum
in this movie.
O'Neal,
My God, I don't remember seeing
Bridget
them all.
Fonda, and Sarah Jessica Parker were all considered to play Princess Irulan.
So Virginia Madsen got this role over every single one of the A-list actresses
Yeah.
of the entire decade of
That's
the
crazy.
1980s.
Pretty much,
How the
yeah.
hell did that happen?
I think I heard you say Zendaya too, and Florence Pugh. They were even considering them back then.
I got Robert Duvall turning down the role of Duke Leto Atreides.
It would have been fun having Robert Duvall in it for sure. I don't know if it would have changed this movie. Leto
that-
died so early in it. It's just like,
At
I don't know
one
if it
point,
mattered.
it was Val Kilmer, Tom Cruise, and Kevin Costner were all being
Tom
considered
Cruise.
for Paul
There you go.
Atreides.
There you
Yeah.
go. I think
God
Kyle
he
MacLachlan
wasn't.
is best. Now that you've seen your boy Timothée Chalamet in it, there's no way they can ever. It's like one of those things. Once a better version that's been done, now you're like, well, no one else can play that part.
Yeah.
Because Kyle MacLachlan was probably like, was he 30 in this? He's supposed to be like
Yeah.
15, Timothy Chalamet is going to be one of those guys like Tom Holland.
looks young, yeah.
Zendaya's got a type. He's going to be like 40 years old. They're going to be like, yeah, you could still play like 16.
Yeah.
Like, that's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could be like the Andrea Zuckerman.
Andrea Zuckerman. She was like 73, and she was like at the Peach Pit hanging out with the gang.
Oh my god.
What? Why did you say that?
Connor, do you know who Andrea Zuckerman is?
Not a clue, unfortunately.
She was a character on Beverly Hills 90210. She was like in her 30s.
But she was playing a
high
sophomore.
school student, and
Yeah.
they were all.
And
they
it
were
was
probably
obvious
in
she
their
was old.
20s, but
Yeah.
My age is showing.
well, that's
Yeah.
all right, man. You shouldn't have to know Beverly Hills
Yeah,
90210.
I wasn't expecting you to know that one. Yeah, I don't have anything else. I
I
mean,
thought two things were kind of funny when the Baron was like, "I'm going to spittle on you." Or he
Oh
said
my
something,
God,
he's like, "I'm
that
gonna
spit
on
scene
you."
was the
It's
worst. That was so
disgusting.
gross.
I really hate. One thing I hate in movies is when they show vomit. I don't care if someone's over there, but you don't actually see it. But when they show it and when they show spit. Something about seeing people get spit on in movies like that, and it always lands right here under the eye.
Well,
Every
yeah.
time.
we'll be doing
right
Stand By
here.
Me in a few years.
Oh, I hate that.
I don't mind the spitting part. I mind when there's like the
But he
residue
was-
left
But he also,
afterwards.
it looked like that was real spit because
Oh,
he
yeah.
really hocked a loogie.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like, and then it dripped.
I'm sure that was part of the deal for taking the job. Like, this dude's gonna spit on you.
Ugh. And then the other thing I thought was funny, and I can't remember. I think it was a little girl when she pulled out his nipple tubes,
Oh, yeah.
and then was like with like wiggling her face. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't want to
So
spoil
weird.
the new movie for everybody. This movie ends more
You can, I
in
don't care.
line with the book than the new
You can
movie.
say it. You
Okay.
can say it.
Like the person that ends up killing the Baron and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is more in
Did
line
the
with the
Baron
book.
die in the 20? I don't. I don't want to run. I don't
Yes,
remember
yes,
how
yes, he
that.
does.
You can ruin
He
it.
does.
It's
Didn't you
okay.
just watch the movie?
I did, and I already forgot how he died. I was too busy looking at Austin Butler. Okay,
Yeah, because he looked great in this.
Did he have his Elvis
did.
voice going?
What are you talking about?
he looked good.
Did he really?
He looked
With
like a
his white,
freak.
his completely
Yes.
white body and his
Yeah.
bald head and
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I can't
Yes.
imagine that.
And I
He had
also.
black teeth.
So
She's a fan of the black
I
teeth.
guess so.
okay, thought he looked good. I'm sorry.
I mean, like,
when
he
his
was
mouth was
shredded.
closed, he was good. Exactly.
Can
Yeah,
we
but like,
podcast
that was
your
like
wedding?
one
I want to be
scene.
like, is Tara got the black teeth in today?
But yeah, I thought he looked good, and God,
Are you okay?
Florence Pugh.
No,
I
Florence
kept wanting to
Pugh
say
looked great.
Francis. I'm like, her name's not freaking Francis.
I thought you were having a stroke.
No, I felt like I was.
I thought there was going to be a fight after Logan because Daniel saw it with us and we all
Yeah.
went, and then Logan saw it last night with Brady, and I thought there was going to be a fight because they are all in Francis Pugh corner, and I'm Florence Pugh corner, and I'm
I see. So
I'm
I
still a
said-
Zendaya fan.
Oh,
was
I
like-
love Florence
I was like,
Pugh,
Zendaya
yeah.
looked real. I was like, I said something about like, can Zendaya ever look happy? Like she's got the mopiest mope
Yeah.
face, but I'm okay. She can do that.
Yeah.
But they were all like, yeah, but Florence Pugh. I'm like, yeah, she looked good. I'm like, I'm not saying she didn't look good, but
Yeah.
I still
She's
say
really
Zendaya.
pretty. I think Zendaya's really, really pretty. I like her best though in these roles where she is somewhat like in Euphoria. She's not pretty. In this, she's not pretty. She's dirty. She's a mess, and I like her
Yeah.
that way the most.
That's how Brad Pitt was always the best in like
Yeah.
Seven and Snatch and Fight
Fight
Club.
Club.
He
Yeah.
always was all beat up and gross looking.
And he's
you're
Yeah.
still
like,
awesome
"Oh
in
my God,
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think
Yeah.
he's great in that.
Yeah.
Brad, give me a call, dude.
Why don't you
Yeah.
want to get
There
some
you go.
scores out?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who wants to go first?
I'm nervous about my
I'll go
score
first.
here.
Well, here's the reasoning behind my score. Again, I did a whole deep dive, 8 hours worth of it.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the current movies first, and then I watched this. While I thought it was, the CGI, whatever we want to call it.
CGI, you can call it that.
I don't know what to call it. Were terrible. And some of the acting and some whatever. I still enjoyed watching it. I really did. The whole time I wasn't like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah.
But it also wasn't a good movie. I think I enjoyed it more because it was putting pieces together for me from having watched the other two movies.
Yeah.
So now if I go back, not anytime soon, but rewatch those two movies, I think I'll have a better understanding. So that's
Yeah.
why I think I liked watching it. But yeah, it was pretty bad. So I gave it a 65.
Okay.
I'm
You want me to
nervous
go?
to give my score. I'm going to give my score. Listen, like I said before, I've watched all the Dune movies now in the last week, and I'm halfway through the book. And as I'm watching this yesterday, I saw this in the theater 40 years ago, and the only reason I saw it in the theater was because Sting was in it. I didn't retain anything from it because I remember when I was reading the book 10 years ago, I was like, huh.
You waited
I
a
don't
long
remember
time for
that.
this thing to come on screen too.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't remember this being in the movie, but I don't remember the movie. So when I saw the 2021, I forgot stuff. I remember Brian saying to me, like, when Josh Brolin, like, gets all shot up at one point, I'm like, oh, damn, they got rid of Josh Brolin already, too. He's like, he's Gurney Halleck. I'm like, am I supposed to remember that, like, he lives? I'm like, I don't know that that's
Yeah.
a thing. Oh, okay. But I thought this movie was pretty good. It was kind of fun. There, at no point during this movie was I like, I don't want to watch this ever again. I will probably never watch this movie ever again. I will watch the 2021 and 2024 movie. Once they release the 2024 version on digital,
me too.
I will watch both of them together one night. Those movies are like the kind of movies I want to own in 4K so I can watch them in their 4K.
8K's already out there.
But I don't have an 8K television.
Really?
But
Yeah.
Oh my god.
like I enjoyed watching this. At no point did I say this is a waste of my time. I give this movie an 80.
Okay.
80. All right, 80. I haven't seen.
Connor's crying over
I
that.
haven't seen 2024, but I have seen the 2021. I will see the 2024, so I'm looking forward to that. I had seen this one back when I was, I guess, a teen, maybe, early teens.
70 years ago.
And I watched it again this time. I was waiting for it to be over. I could not wait for this to be over. I am not going to give it as high a score as Andy.
That's fine.
Not as high a score as even Dana. I am giving this a 50.
Okay.
I will never watch this again.
I
And
will
fuck
watch
you,
it again. I will watch it again. I think when I go first and then I hear you guys give your score, I'm like, oh, I think I was.
We're all over the place.
I know,
50 to 80.
but now I'm like, oh, maybe I should have given it a 70. I'm so bad with this.
fine.
Like, I'm easily
You're okay,
swayed.
65.
Wear your score on your sleeve.
Now,
no matter
Connor's
what
got to
it
give
is.
this movie a 0, so let's listen to
Yeah,
Connor.
go ahead, Connor.
Did he go lower than me?
No. So I think this movie definitely has its super enjoyable moments, but because I think it's so bad that I laugh at it. Like the Baron in this is like a cartoon villain. Like there's a lot of things that
The
add to that,
special effects are ridiculous.
yeah, even if I would forgive the special effects if a lot of the writing
I
and stuff was
forget the special
way
effects in this
better.
movie.
Will I watch this again? Maybe
In a group setting, maybe?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If I want to see someone else's reaction to it, maybe I'll sit down for it. Otherwise, no. I'm gonna give it a 38.
Wow. I wonder if my opinion would be different if I had
Did
seen
Tara
it.
give it a score?
No, she didn't really watch it.
If I had seen this in 2020 during COVID and I watched this, having not recently read the book and not watched all the other movies, maybe I would have been like, I don't even know what they're talking about with the Gom Jabbar and the Kwisatz Haderach and the I'd be like, whatever. I'm like, this is so stupid. But having done all that recently, I think that made me enjoy this movie a
Yes,
whole
I
lot
agree.
more.
Yeah.
Like,
'Cause I think
really enjoyed
If
watching
I had
this.
only watched this movie for this podcast
Yep.
and there were no new ones, I would have given it a 20.
Yeah, this felt like it could have easily been like Krull.
Yes,
Like, same exact
I
thing.
agree.
Like,
Kroll had there were some
fancy
parts of
movie
that
that makes-
where I really
yeah.
enjoyed.
well, there were parts of this I really enjoyed too.
Yeah.
I think I would watch Kroll again.
Yeah, me having seen the other movies, wanting to learn more, having learned more, up to my score. If I had watched this 2 weeks ago, I would have given it a big, fat 20, and I would have been like, I'm not watching the new movies.
Yeah.
So,
I'm so glad we had Connor on for this for his 38.
It's good to have you back on.
This movie had almost a
It's-
40 point
It wipes out my 50.
Good.
Because my 50's like, whatever.
40-point swing. Oh my god, it's awesome. I don't think you've ever had a movie that's had that varying of opinions.
Wait,
on
there
movie.
was that one you and Brian were separated like that, I think. In one movie.
I think Grease too.
The thing.
Fuck Grease too.
The thing, there was
No, he gave
like
Grease
a
to a
40
60.
point difference.
I know.
Really?
I gave
Yeah,
it a
because
90.
all of
I know.
us on the thing were giving it almost the perfect score. We're giving it like 99s, and Brian gave it like a 60 because he goes, "How'd they get the vending machine in the building?" We're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And that was his complaint that he stood on before his score, and we were like, "Wait, what?" We were flabbergasted. All three.
had no
I couldn't
sense.
believe it.
Yeah, I can't condone it.
So what's this? What do you got to tell us?
Oh yeah, sure. So I got a text yesterday from someone that had expressed interest in a movie to do for the podcast. So he wants to do it next week.
Okay.
That's why I was saying you can't pick. So next week we're going to do The Last Starfighter with first-time guest Jim Jim is like, I'm watching.
Never.
Oh no.
Jim-
No, I like the movie. I'm excited for Jim, but I'm saying he's wiping my pick out.
Oh,
Not a
well,
great
you'll
pick,
get to it. You'll get
We're
to
talking
it.
about Jim.
Jim.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Jim from work, Jim.
Awesome.
So he wants to do Last Starfighter.
What day?
Okay.
He's let me. I don't know. And I said we'll do it next week sometime. What's good for you? And then I don't know if he actually got that far into that. He said Thursday, next Thursday,
Okay.
What's the day next Thursday?
the 20.
Second.
No plans. It doesn't
Right.
matter. Why am I asking?
And then
Okay, you can rent it. Yeah, we have to rent it.
okay,
Yeah.
And then Paul came into my office today,
I
and
talked to
he
Paul,
said,
too.
"What am I doing?
Muppets Take
Manhattan." I'm like,
Love that
name a
movie
date.
so much.
And he can't do it in April, so I was like, let's do. I was like, Jim's doing next week. Why don't we do the following week? We'll do Muppets Take Manhattan.
We can double up in a week, too.
And
if you want.
we can double
Oh,
up,
yeah,
but
that's
like,
true.
but
Yeah.
like Paul wants to do Muppet Takes Manhattan. We'll do Muppet Takes Manhattan with Jim. And then this last weekend, I was at our buddy Dan's father's viewing, and he said he's ready to come on
Dan?
and do Revenge of the Nerds.
Dan?
Yeah, he's like,
Ah.
I'm ready.
That's
I'm
gonna be
like,
three
all right.
movie-
so-
well,
We told
So-
him if he doesn't come on for it, we're doing
we're
Revenge
just
of the
gonna
Nerds
do it
without him.
Yeah,
Okay.
he really wants to do it. He was like, oh, and his brother Kevin actually came up to me. He's like, so what's this podcast you're doing? So I talked to him for like 10 minutes about the podcast. He lives like,
Does he want in?
right? Yeah, he's like,
Okay.
I told him I'll send you the list and like we'll get you in
Yeah.
at some point, but he didn't confirm anything yet. So that's why I was saying you can't pick the next movie because
I
three
had it all
people
ready to go,
three
too.
people in the last.
It's on
couple
Disney
days.
Plus, the movie I wanted to watch, too.
Really?
Was it the Eras tour?
No.
They released it a day early, right? Didn't they do that?
It's coming out tomorrow, but I'm not watching it till
You wanna
Friday.
know
We're
what I
having
was
a
gonna
watch
pick?
party.
Well, we'll get there.
Do you want to know what it
Yeah,
was?
sure.
I wanted to watch Ghostbusters.
Oh,
that
I
was
thought we were doing it for
85.
Halloween. Weren't we saving all those movies
That's
for
not a
Halloween
horror
team?
movie.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought that was
That's true.
85.
Nope, that's 84.
Cool.
There's so many good movies. I had never heard of The Last Starfighter, though.
Oh, yeah.
Last Starfighter.
I like that as a kid.
I saw that in the theater twice.
Really? Okay. Anybody I know in it?
Robert Preston. Geez, who's the kid? Lance something. I forget his name now. He was.
Lance Guest.
Yeah, he was kind of big at that point. Was the girl somebody?
Dan O'Hurley's in it.
Okay, really? Okay. It's a very early in the
Looking at
history
these
of.
pictures, I've
Will
never
Wheaton.
seen this movie.
It's a very early in the history of CGI special
Will
effects.
Wheaton's in it.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Like half the movie's like almost like a cartoon because they're fighting in space and they don't.
Oh, okay.
pretend
I forgot
that
we're
they're
still
something.
doing the podcast, huh? I didn't sign off yet, huh? But Ghostbusters is what I was going to pick. So that's our next 4 weeks then, basically.
Awesome.
We're set. If
Yeah.
you liked any of those movies, then you know.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So we look
Keep
forward to
tuning
that.
in.
Connor, thanks for coming on. We really
Absolutely.
had a
Always
good
a
time,
pleasure.
man.
If we
pick another one.
If we duped you into listening to this podcast because it's advertised as Dune, like maybe you'll listen to the next one.
Check us out on Spreaker. Download, rate, subscribe,
God
do all
damn
those
it.
fun things.
There we go. Hit the wrong button. I had my finger hovering and then I hit the wrong
We're
one.
the exciting and new podcast on all our socials. Download, rate, subscribe, review, do all those fun things. The Jazoo over there on Instagram, Jazoo74 on Twitter. This has been the exciting and new podcast. I'm Jason.
AEGonzo1 on Twitter, AEGonzo1970 on Instagram. I got to get bigger buttons. I'm Andy.
Dana Caps on TikTok and Twitter. Dana Caps 77 on Instagram. I'm Dana.
Variance reviews on Instagram, and I'm Connor.
Bit, 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 Dune.